And the HPV, the polyomavirus.
Oh, it's a big subject today.
That is a big subject, and it's very common. And it doesn't cause anything in the man except having the condylomas that they come back and you treat them very easily and they go away. However, the disease is there because there's no cure for any one of the viruses.
Well, without giving a vaccine, it seems to be 70% effective if you get before they've had contact.
That's very important before they catch it.
But there's some concern about the vaccine. There was some kids are getting lightheaded, they're fainting. There was some concern about some deaths. We've been checking out very carefully, and it seems to be safe, and we're recommending it. But like anything, it's a new vaccine. You have to have concern if something's going to pop up down the road.
Yeah, we don't know down the road what's going to happen. It's like with any other medication.
We don't have proof of 25 years' experience that we give it to all these women.
Right, it's brand new.
It's brand new. It appears it's going to work.
Yeah.
But that's something we're going to learn about, I hope, in our lifetime. So we'll live old enough to get our prostate cancer.
Let me ask you something. If you see a lot of these young girls and they don't have anything, I mean, would you recommend the vaccine?
We're recommending it, but we're giving them a great discussion. Discussion is, we think it's safe. We heard about some deaths around the world. They were very large, very small numbers, I think 11. 2 of them died, we know, from a stroke-like reaction, but they also had a myocarditis. One of them was a 12-year-old girl that died. That bothered me.
Yeah.
They had no explanation.
That's a very young age.
I know, and it bothers me. In fact, we're checking all the deaths. It's a good thing you brought this up. I called the FDA. The guy was really nice to me. I spoke to Center for Disease Control. I can get a call back. We went to the website. I called 2 pediatric neurologists. Both said, sometimes you get a vaccine and you get almost like an immune response vascular, and it can cause a stroke. There was some concern of chickenpox disease, and maybe the vaccine could be.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a flag. So what I have done, and I don't want it mandated, as a pediatrician, I tell the parents, we think it's safe. There are some concerns. I think 4 million doses have been sold. There are 11 cases. One I can't explain away easily. The others, I think, they had other things going on. But, it's a new vaccine. There are 3,700 cases of cervical cancer diagnosed in this country, 300,000 cases in the world. We may wipe out half those deaths from these cancers, which in this country could be a couple of thousand, 3,000 or 4,000 a year, against 10 or 15 deaths. And I don't know who do you sue? If the governor mandates a vaccine, and I have to give it to all these kids, and something happens to the kid, who's at fault? So we think it should not be mandated. I think, like you've had teenage girls, it should be I discussing with you the right way, which is, here's what we know. It's a new vaccine. We think it's going to do its job. There are some concerns. I will tell you what I know. I'll keep you updated along the way. It's not a cheap vaccine. The disease is horrible. We have a nice discussion. It's your decision as long as I present the facts correctly. If you say no to me after I give you all those facts, I respect your decision. You say yes, and we go through it. Nothing happens, you get great. And something happens, which we don't know about, at least I made a good faith effort. And as you know, we know each other for about 30 years. I, like you, worry about our patients. I worry that I got up that day, I'm have a clear thinking mind, I make the right decisions. But I don't want it mandated. And not something that's no. If I had to look at a mother in her eye, we gave you something that maybe I could have said no to, and something happened to your kid, how do I get up the next day? I will cry with the parent. And believe me, something can go wrong with any drug we write for, vaccine, any procedure, had nothing to do with if you're a good doctor or a bad doctor. Every time you operate, there's an anesthesia risk. Small as it is, there's still some. And I know, if you ever did a surgery and something didn't come out the way you thought, it would bother you for years and years because you care.
You'll never forget it.
You never forget it.
Never forget it. But the only thing that bothers me with this thing is that, we tell everybody safe sex. Unfortunately, there is no such thing as safe sex.
Absolutely.
With this, because a condom does not protect anything. You can still get the disease by
you
using
get
a condom.
HPV just by touching each other.
Correct.
He puts his finger near the vagina, and it goes back and forth, and it can spread.
And a condom will only cover the penis, but it will not cover the area of the pubis, will not cover the testicles, it will not cover the perineum.
What's this thing? You're a urologist.
Yes.
You don't want to see or hear about ever cervical cancer. You know how terrible that is, and the death is horrible if they get a full-blown case. And you get a wife, you get children that are female, and you know about the vaccine. And I know you would check it out like I did. I'm on the phone speaking to a neurologist, speaking to the FDA called me up because I know a few people there. I'm concerned. I believe the vaccine's great, but do you know they're talking now that they give the shot and you have to watch it for 20 minutes because they can collapse or faint? I never had a vaccine. I had to keep them in the office for 20 minutes. I was worried about an allergic reaction. Maybe there's something else going on here. Maybe it is causing a vasodilation, or maybe getting an immune response that's causing a dilatation, which eventually can cause an immune response that can make you more prone to get a stroke 2 hours, 2 weeks later. So I think I would be obligated to check it out, and I'm not comfortable. I think the vaccine is a great idea, very expensive, but God forbid if I ever gave that shot and a kid ever died and I gave that shot, how did I get up the next day?
Yeah.
And you're a father.
Very uncomfortable with yourself.
You're a father. How would you feel?
I would feel terrible.
And you know, I took care of your kids when they were very little. Right. And you know how I used to get crazy.
I remember you took care of my kids.
I know, it bothered me. And this bothers me. But we agree on one thing. But here's what we have to agree upon. We give the facts to the parent. It's their child.
It's their child. And you have to respect their opinion. And their decision, because it ultimately is the parent's decision.
I can't be biased. I have to tell a parent, look, this is a great new vaccine. Great ideas. Not proven. In theory, it's great. But there's a little doubt. And this is a company. Merck Sharp & Dohme took 18 years to get the chickenpox to the market. They had a little concern about contamination. When did that? They took it right off the market. This is not a company that takes the name and doesn't care. They really, the vaccine division, I don't know about other part, they really care. I even spoke to them, and they had concerns, but they said, we checked it. We're comfortable, but we're watching it like a hawk. And I'm sure there's some people sitting in some room at Merck Sharp & Dohme having a little concern that could be something else going on here, just like you and I are.
I agree with you.
And you know what, Bob, this is the worst part? People don't understand. They think doctors are in it for the money. Listen, if you go to medical school today and your father's rich, you're walking out with $250,000 in loans. And then you try to go into private practice after a residency of another 3 or 4 years. You can't do it as a solo. You can't afford to do it. You work for someone at a salary, not high-end, low-end. A lot of doctors look in poor areas to get the loans forgiven. If you were to start out today with that kind of debt and then try to buy a house, get married, it's not easy. So the people going into medicine today, I hope, are very, very dedicated, because the rewards aren't there, except for one. When I get a mother or a father through something like a cancer or something like a brain tumor or a meningitis, thank God not so much around, sometimes the thank you isn't in the dollars, it's in their eyes. And you know something? It makes me get up the next day. And I know how you were when you were chief resident at the same time I was the chief resident. We had a terrible case in the air. You don't remember this. Someone was dying. I got the adult guys over. You came down even around. We pulled someone through. No one cared it was a pediatric case. We didn't care it was a case of this guy's response. Everybody was involved because it was a kid. And that's how people are. Thank God there were. And I was lucky that year. We didn't have any horrible tragedies. No big, terrible cases. But now, I'm in practice 33 years. I'm giving a vaccine. There's some concern in my head. I think the companies told me the truth. FDA's told me the truth. Yet I still have doubt. Maybe they're missing some. I never heard it give a vaccine, and girls collapse in 20 minutes. You have to watch them. Maybe there's something going on here. Am I wrong?